Chapter 1. They emerged from the gray, purgatorial gloom like two impossible beacons in the fall. One draped in darkness, the other glowing bright. In the rose garden, I've been wandering alone in the damp, pale pre-dawn light for some time now. I feel like I'm searching for something I'm not sure I will recognize, even if I found it. Instead, I found them, or maybe it's the other way around. The creatures stand tall. They would be taller than a grave is deep if they stood up straight. Instead, they hunch over, bent and broken seeming, like trees after a storm. The dark one is all living shadow, and impenetrable void. Looking at it feels like probing a deep, forgotten wound that never fully healed. The bright one glows dimly, almost flickering at times like a dying flashlight. And yet they have the same features, one perfect photo negative of the other. They share the same blank, oval faces and wide, empty eyes. Owl-like, similar in shape to twin Novella masks, but with the long curved beaks of, this is an interesting word, give me one second. Let's see if I can pronounce this. Alright, let's see. Pokinellis. I got that. Trying to make out the shapes of their bodies. It's like trying to see past a pair of headlights going to a lightless room. If I look too hard, I begin to see spots. They're there. Invisible feathers rustle with every move they make. Something in the way the creatures bow towards me. Hesitant but hungry. Brings to mind the beggar children I've seen haunting the Roma Terminini railway station. I got that. I sympathize. I'm hungry too, though mine is more of a hunger of the soul. Reaching into my bag, I find a pouch of snack olives buried beneath discarded wrappers and assorted art supplies. If you the light one, the dark one, offer them both olives, or ignore them, they aren't real anyway. Offer them both. I pour some olives into my palm, offering them up to both creatures. They lunge for my hand at the same time. Their arms bump, their claws tangle, and they turn on each other, squabbling like two crows quarreling over scraps. Oh. We'll refuse them to see how that works. I put the olives away and close my eyes, willing the creature to disappear, to return to whatever nightmare of mine they escaped from. After a protracted moment, I hear a scraping sound, like cloth dragging over leaves in two directions, one to either side of me. When I open my eyes, I am alone again. Faced with an illogical situation, my brain conjures an illogical conclusion. This is all Felicity's fault. Felicity is the hospitable, meddling hostess, Casa della Gattara. She was the one who insisted that I needed some fresh air, some sunlight. Her cats, she confided to me this morning, said it would give my spirit that much needed lift. As if a single sunny day could dissipate the haze that's been building up in my brain for years now, one that swallows the colors in my life whole and leaves me stranded in the gray, a suffocating smog that I flew all the way across the Atlantic to outrun. But Felicity meant well. She always does. So out I wandered, after 3 days of self-indulgence soaking in my shuttered guest room, into the dim light of an early summer's day. But sitting here now, amid a sea of roses in the heart of Rome, I feel like nothing so much as a smudge in the middle of an otherwise flawless masterpiece. On top of everything, I'm apparently prone to hallucinating. What's wrong with me runs far deeper than sunlight can reach. Neither the garden nor the garnished beggars, imaginary beggars, I remind myself, have moved me to so much as pick up my pencil, let alone brave the white wasteland of a blank page in my sketchbook. Finally deciding I have more than fulfilled Felicity's wish for me to venture out from under the roof, I stand up. For some reason I had like a brain fart. I was like, what? I don't know. Slinging my bag over my shoulder, I trudged back to the guest house and the comforting solitude of my room. French? I don't know, but she murmured something, Felicia. I can't pronounce her name. As I pass her on my way up the stairs, I shake my head and sigh. She knows I don't speak Italian. It's Italian, my bad. Fluently enough yet to fully catch her meaning, but she doesn't care. She figures I'll learn eventually. I think she's a bit too optimistic for her own good. Facts. My room is the farthest down the hall upstairs. Inside, it is dark. The whole time that I've been here, I've not opened the curtains once. A simple but elegant room with modern decor, a few feline figurines hidden in the pattern of the curtains and bed covers of Lycia, I would expect no less. Across from the bed stands a dresser topped with a small but nice quality TV, with a standing shower to the left of it. In the other corner lurks the bane of my existence, a cheap easel propping up an empty canvas. I bought it when I first came to Rome, full of optimism that this trip would somehow change me, make me better. I thought that if I could fill that canvas with something real, something meaningful, it would prove once for all that I am an artist and not merely a pretender. I did try at first. Canvas blank facade, has layers and layers of false starts, painted out with white. Nothing ever felt right. Eventually, it seemed foolish to even try. I'm afraid to throw it out, to admit defeat once and for all. I'm terrified of what it would mean, and worse, what it would not. Okay, chapter 2. By the time I bring myself to venture out of the guest house again, I am convinced what happened in the garden a few days ago could not possibly have happened the way I remembered it. Creatures, of course, were either buskers in costumes, or worse case scenario, products of my own overactive imagination. Perhaps I even dreamt them, having fallen asleep on the bench without realizing. I sleep erratically these days, some nights too much, some nights too little. It wouldn't be that shocking to find that I may have lost track of the border between the waking world and my dreams. So as I wander out into the cobblestone expanse of the piazza, Novella? I got that right. I'm not looking for any sign of the creature's return. If my head is constantly turning, it's only because there is so much to see, so many things that will catch the wandering eye. If I'm slouching a bit, a tad fidgety, well, who can blame me? There are so many people here, so many artists in particular. The Piazza Novella is at once my dream come true and personal nightmare. It is much what you would get if you encompassed the art world within a single snow globe, shook it, and let the pieces settle where they may. Artist stalls stand like colorful rocks amid the eddies and currents of the sea of passerby. Their wares are beautiful, but for me they are siren calls. If I draw too close, I may fall into the trap of comparison and dash with little confidence I have against its jagged edges. I am not here for portraits or picturesque landscapes. I'm here to visit no friend. Beneath the chatter and the clacking of camera shutters, the square's three famous fountains babble and murmur, whispering secrets to those who lean in close enough to listen. I've come to listen to the secrets of one in particular. The first and only other time I came to Rome, I was young. Gullible 9-year-old who believed every word my Uncle Nino told me. It was his ever so slightly embellished stories about Rome and its historical intrigue. Oh my gosh, no. Yeah. I don't know why I can't say that. Historical intrigues, yes. Why am I struggling? That made me want to paint. Rain is an interesting. I have to be struggling sometimes when I shouldn't. It was also his laziness that led me to believe the fountain of Four Rivers was the famous fountain into which I should cast coins if I wanted to return. It wasn't until several years later that I found out that the legend was actually about the Trevi fountain, which was just far enough away that Uncle Nino didn't want to walk to it. I stand in front of the fountain, more than a decade older and not much wiser now as then. I care less for lazy river god sculptures than the stone animals that surround them. I remember the lion particularly back then. He reminded me of the thought lion from old German fairy tales. It was to him I'd addressed my wish to come back someday. Standing here now, it's hard not to wonder if I granted my wish after all. I lean over the edge of the fountain, looking for the penny I tossed in years ago, even though I know it can't still be there. Instead of a penny, this is my reflection that catches my eye, or rather, the two tall figures I see in it, lurking directly behind me. I turn around, sure enough, there they are. They were the twins in the flesh. Once again, no one seemed to notice the presence of the creatures beside me. Once again, they seem hungry. Their hands hesitantly outstretched to receive today's donation. Guess we'll refuse them both again. Best case scenario, these creatures actually do exist, but they're invisible to everyone else, in which case there's no telling what people will think if they see me handing food out to the empty air. Will disappear when they take it? Worst case scenario, I'm hallucinating, in which the case there's no telling what I would actually be doing by trying to feed them. Would I be eating the food or forcing it on some poor unsuspecting stranger? Either way, I decide it's a waste of money, time, and sanity to give in to their begging. I suddenly turn back to the fountain, stare hard at the lion, sadly asking him if he can grant me one more wish and send the creatures far away from me. Eventually, whether by the lion's grace or hunger's curse, creatures' reflections disappear. I turn around, they are nowhere to be seen. Spent a few hours wandering the piazza at my leisure, but I am disconcerted by the creature's return. I browse everything but notice nothing. I may as well not be here at all. Sooner or later, I will have to leave Rome and go back home. But I miss my friends and family. The thought of facing them after all this time, with nothing at all to show for my efforts, makes me feel hollow. Upon returning to my room, I flopped face first onto the bed, exhausted from my excursion. In order to keep my head down, I reason I won't have to look at the thing in the corner. But out of sight is not out of mind. When my eyes close, or will distract me from my guilt. Not just about the canvas, about the time and money I've squandered here. Money I should never have won in the first place. I entered the contest to please my parents and teachers. They told me to paint, so I painted. I looked at what I won in the past and mimicked it. There was none of me in it, none of my soul. I didn't think I could win. I took the coward's way out and painted what I thought they wanted to see. Standing there on the stage accepting that award, I never felt more like a fraud in my life. The more praise others heaped on my shoulders, the heavier it grew, so I thought I would collapse under the weight of it. In the end, I guess I did. Chapter 3. Walking down the long, pale stretch of street known as the Via del Corso, my feet carry me forward, even as my mind stubbornly lingers in the gallery I just left behind. I fell in love with the Galleria at first sight. Back in the early days of my arrival here, equally entranced by its opulence as by its relative vacancy. Spurred on by Felicia, I returned to the gallery today to recapture some of the magic of that first visit. At first, it was the same as before. It's not hard to stand among all that art. Timeless works by the likes of Raphael, Titian, and Caravaggio, and not fall under its spell. The longer I wandered, the smaller and more uncomfortable I felt. At last, I arrived in the Hall of Mirrors. Mirrors in the hall are framed as exquisitely as any of the masterworks hung alongside them. It's almost as if the mirrors are trying to convince visitors that they, too, are worthy of gallery placement. While all I could see staring at my dark, disheveled reflection was the ugly contrast between such a beautiful frame and such mediocre content. That and the one other thing. Two familiar shapes stood behind me in the mirrors, one dark and one light. I knew without checking that they followed me as I hastened out of the hall and through the exit. Pushing through a stubborn group of tourists clogging the front steps, stumbled onto the street like a drowning woman breaching the surface of the sea. Looking back now, I'm not surprised to see the creatures follow me still. They both seemed as eager as ever for a snack. Of course, I was well aware of their goal when I spotted them in the mirror, which is why. We'll just keep going around ignoring them and see how that plays out. I keep walking south down Via del Corso, finally marching forward through foot traffic and slanting slivers of sunlight between the buildings. This isn't until I'm several blocks down the road that I feel some of the tension leave the air. Perce glanced into the reflective glass of a shop window and am relieved to see that my unwanted company has finally departed. With a sigh, I slow my steps and make my way toward the nearest bus stop. I go back to Casa della Cattaria if I really wanted to, but I don't. All I want after the excitement of this morning is to go back to bed as soon as possible and sleep. And sleep and sleep. Back at the guest house, Lucia catches my eye as I try to sneak past her to the stairs. She asks if I'm well. When my half-hearted response fails to convince her, she begs me to join her and a few other guests for a home-cooked dinner. In the end, I relent, but say little during the meal and enjoyed it even less. Flavor has gone from her food. Excellent though, I know it used to be. I try to smile for her sake, but I imagine she is as disappointed in me as I am. I sit in my room, staring at my blank canvas and wondering what was the point. The Italians have a saying. I don't want to butcher that. I don't want y'all to catch me butchering that. But y'all can read that. One beautiful day does not summer make. I suppose I should feel lucky. I have more than one beautiful day here in the Eternal City, but I should have known it would not last. Even in the middle of summer, the sunlight never quite seems to touch me. I still feel numb. I am every bit as empty as my canvas, and I no longer have the energy to try and fill up a perpetually defective vessel. My plane ticket home is sitting on the bedside table. I thought yesterday when I realized the fog was back, it wouldn't be dissipating anytime soon. Summer sun in Rome can't do it, but I might as well go home. My flight leaves in an hour. I'm not even packed yet. Does it really matter where I am or what I do? Nothing feels like it has any weight to it anymore. It's all flat gray. No shadows and no light. Just endless blank space stretching on and on to the distance. And even 1 to 5 gray. So I guess with me rejecting both light and dark, I just got somewhat of a neutral ending in a way. But I mean, that was still actually really nice. So the name of this visual novel, let's see, I can't pronounce it. Let's see. Chiaroscuro. Let's see. Chiaroscuro. Hope I got that right. But yeah. But this is a text-based visual novel. If you want to try this for yourself, of course, I will put it in the description below. This game was sent to me via email. Took a minute to get to it because I was flooded with other emails and life, you know how it is. So, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Of course, if you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Hope y'all had a good day. Y'all have even better tomorrow, and I will catch y'all in the next one.